It is a huge mistake going into the world wanting to help everybody. You're not clear on who you're helping and how you're helping them. Coach T, why do you say that? Why do you say it's hard for me to go out here and put myself out here and I want to change the world, but I don't know who I help and how I help them. So how is that a detriment to me? That's a detriment because people will only connect to specialists, meaning people who can help them get a specific result. And we'll talk about specifically what does it look like in terms of, do I have to like niche this down? How far do I need to go? What does that really look like? But if you don't understand that people are really looking for some type of change and you're not clear on what that change looks like for that person, they'll go to somebody else who does have clarity. They'll go to somebody else who can help them in that area. They go to somebody else who really feels like they can take them further. Even, and this is the key thing. Even if they can't help them as good as you, it'd be harder for them to justify in their mind why they need to work with you because you can't clearly articulate it. Or you're stubborn in a way where you don't want to articulate specifically how you can help them or a specific place you can take them. So because you're stubborn in articulating that for fear of leaving out other people, you won't strongly attract the person that's in front of you because you want to water down your message. And now they say, well, I really need somebody who really can help me focus on this. And I kind of see that you can kind of do it, but I don't really look like this is your focus right here. So I'm going to go to somebody else who can. Here, I'm going to ask you, different categories, right? Let's just say I'm asking you different categories, and it might be a little bit hard to see, but if you see what I'm saying, what you're going to notice is I'm going to ask you certain things, certain questions, and the answer to those questions, you might have, you might have like 3 answers to this question. You might have 2 answers to this question. You might have like 5 answers to this. And you're going to see what I mean when I say like you're going to have answers to these. You're going to have maybe like 1 answer to that, right? So you're going to have multiple answers here. Now, let me share something with you. As you answer these questions, what you're going to notice is there's going to be some duplicates. Where you want to pay attention to are where are the places under these questions that I'm getting ready to ask you are the duplicates. You might see this might be a duplicate with this, with this, with this. Right? Meaning, once you start answering these questions, you're going to start noticing that there's a line. There's a line of duplicate answers that you come up with. Those are going to be very good indicators of topics or niche audiences and or topics that you can do and or help. Okay? If you follow what I'm saying, put I follow in the chat because this is very key. Because now we're getting ready to go through what are the questions. I want you to put the first thing that comes to your mind inside of the chat, and we're gonna keep rolling. I want you to put the first thing on your mind inside of the chat as I go through these questions. All right, let's get it. Question number 1. What are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? A lot of times, there's things that we're passionate about, and we think about it all the time. This is something that nobody has to pay us to do. This is just something we feel good about doing. This is something we feel like is our purpose. It's something that we feel like that was given to us from our creator. This is something that we can't shake. We know it's our purpose. A lot of times these are things that you just feel compelled to do. And a lot of us, we might know what that purpose is. Many of us we know what that is because we know what it felt like. We know that it just felt so good. We know that it just felt so amazing. So that's what the idea is we want to be able to put down what are you passionate about. So that's number 1. What are you passionate about? Number 2, what are your strengths? What are your strengths? That's important because as you start looking back at, well, what are the things that you're actually good at, that can give you an indicator of something that you can train people on, something that you can give to people, because you do it better than most people. So if you do something that's better than most people, obviously you have something that you can give. Whether it's something that you learned, whether it's something that came naturally, that's not even a question. What are your strengths? What does that really look like? So this is something that you really want to write down. What are your strengths? Right? That's very, very important. Okay? So it's number 2. Number 3 is, what do the top 3 closest people say that you're good at? This is key. What do the top 3 people that you're closest to say that you're good at? You know, I asked this question one time. I was on Facebook, and I asked this question like years ago. And I put what I thought people would say, and then I literally asked the question on Facebook. And I asked some of the people around me, and I got, determined, I got focused, I got persistent, and I got these different things. And I'm like, wow. And some of it, and I'm looking for the fine lines, and I'm saying, okay, I'm seeing how people, what they perceive as my strengths, what they perceive as what I'm good at. So if people perceive that, that means that they're naturally drawn to me about that already. That could be a good indicator of topics that you can coach people on. If somebody said, if you're noticing multiple people, you're asking people around you, and you start seeing, oh wow, everybody keeps saying I'm good at this. People keep saying that I'm good at, just being in a relationship. I'm a good communicator. I'm good at listening. I'm good at, compassion. That could be a clue, right? That could be a clue. Not always 100%, but it'll give you a good indicator of how you can really help people, right? Good. And I see y'all keep throwing it in the chat. Number 4. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, I love this one. What topic do you usually give advice on the most? What topic do you usually give advice on the most? What topic? Is there, when you're giving advice to people, many times, if you've been giving advice for free for years, put I've been giving free for years in the chat. I've been giving free for years in the chat. Put I've been giving free for years. This is key. When we're giving free advice a lot of the times, right? And even if you help people with multiple areas, usually what I found is that it usually lands on certain topics. What do you usually give people advice on the most? What's like 80%, 80-20? So I give people advice on different things too. Sometimes it might be mindset. Sometimes it's just, it might be, I've given marriage advice before. I've given different things. But when I really ask myself this question, I noticed that I love to give advice on business. It might be other topics that people talk about, and I'm a little bit, sometimes I'm a little bit quiet, right? Or I'm just kind of listening, just kind of soaking up the game, depending on who I'm on and what the conversation is. It could be on spirituality, or it could just be certain health and nutrition things that I know about, but I'm not necessarily the authority on those things that I can just give you, just start kicking game. But I notice one thing when it comes to business. Oh, boom! It comes to marketing. It comes to how to build a personal brand. Let's talk. It comes to how to make sales and generate revenue. Let's talk. That's my avenue. And I feel comfortable talking about those things. So usually if you look at all the types of advice that I give, you would see most of the time is usually on business. So what topics do you give people advice on the most? Look at that. Think about that. Write that down, right? These are questions that you're going to go back to, and you're going to write these things out. Love it. And I see it. Yup. Growth mindset, finance, motivation, finances. Love it. There we go. 5. What do you have experience in? What do you have experience in? When we talking experiences, what have you been through? What have you been through? What have you experienced in your past that you can use? Have you been through trauma? Have you been through divorce? Have you been through, mental health challenges? Have you been through abandonment? Have you been through, have you had, confidence issues, self esteem issues? Um, there's just so many different topics, right? But what have you been through that you could potentially give advice to people on? Because you've been through it, you've been able to overcome it. If you hear, and if you're part of this group, and you're a part of trainings, and you're joining trainings and Zooms, and if you're in a headspace where you're now looking to figure out how you can give back to the world, that's already a win in itself. Because there's a lot of people who are going through it that wouldn't dare join something like this, or be a part of something like this, or be a part of a community like this, or get a coach, or they just not in the headspace to be able to do it. They don't even see how that's a possibility because they're only looking at the challenge that they have, right? So the fact that you even here already is a win because you're already looking past, okay, now I can help other people. Does that make sense? So you got to ask yourself those questions.